Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these videos every single day. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. This morning we are here. I've got my green juice ready. I've got my my cryptocurrency news all pulled up, and we have the price of Bitcoin in this morning. Let's take a look at this. We have Bitcoin set at $27,013, down 1.4% within the last 24 hours, unfortunately. And Ethereum is also down 0.85% within the last 24 hours to 1,813. So we have seen a small move to the downside. Now, those of you that were in yesterday's stream will be aware that we are concerned about a current head and shoulders pattern that could be moving us down to the $24,000 level. We have now been rejected from the neckline of that head and shoulders, so we do need to keep an eye on that. We will be doing some Bitcoin analysis at the end of today's stream, so make sure to stay tuned for the very end to hear about all that and what we think here at Crypto Saving Experts about that trending pattern. But let's take a look now first at the cryptocurrency news and see what's going on. And I would say there is a lot going on this morning. At first I looked at the news this morning and I thought, oh, there's not too much there. And then I dug a little deeper and then suddenly some things came to light that were very important today. So let's take a look at those things. First of all, we need to take a look at the SEC rejecting COINBASE. Now let's set up today's stream correctly, make sure everything is running smoothly, and we are ready to go. So we have, first of all, SEC issues a maybe answer to Coinbase's request and says rulemaking may take years. So the SEC have told the court that rulemaking may take years and they're in no rush, said the Coinbase chief legal officer. So the US SEC revealed in a filing on Monday it is not ready to respond to Coinbase's request for clarity on the agency's rulemaking efforts around the cryptocurrency industry. So to explain what's happened here very, very quickly, because I know I explained this over and over again. Regulation in the US around cryptocurrency is really lacking some clarity. To determine whether an asset is a security or a commodity, we use the Howey test, which was created in the 1940s. Now, to use a test that was created that long ago on this completely new industry with all this new technology that is completely exploding in size is just not a good idea. So the cryptocurrency industry is really struggling to understand the clarity around the regulation because the old model doesn't really fit on the new industry. And we've seen many different problems. So the SEC, who regulates securities, are charging many different cryptocurrency companies saying they're offering unregistered securities. They're also saying that different securities are different tokens as security one minute and then not the next. And there's just a lack of clarity around the regulation of the industry. So companies like Coinbase are stepping forward and saying we need clarity on the regulation. We need a whole new piece of framework for cryptocurrencies. We can't just stick this whole old model from the 1940s on this new technology and expect it to fit. We need this new regulation and we need clarity in the industry. And we've been crying out for this for months. We've seen the SEC target many different cryptocurrency companies, specifically this year, following FTX's collapse in November last year. And we are trying to build forwards and continue building the industry forwards in the US. But it's becoming more and more difficult. So many different cryptocurrency companies and exchanges have just said, you know what, we're not working in the US anymore. We're going to move to different jurisdictions. And Asia has started to see many companies moving to that area, specifically Hong Kong as well, because they have clarity around their regulation and they are trying to help the industry grow. If the US continue to lack clarity around regulation and make it very, very difficult for companies to work with the regulators, then they are going to continue to see companies moving out of the jurisdiction. So that is what we need to be careful about. So let's take a look at the next, at this article a little bit more in detail. Jason Smith said it's like asking a math question. They're just not answering in the way that we need. We need clarity in the space, otherwise the US are going to fall behind on the cryptocurrency industry. It's as simple as that. So that was as short and sweet as I expected it to be. I was meant to give you a short explanation, but I've waffled on for a while because I feel very passionate about the regulation in the US and how important it is to help the industry grow. Let's take a look at this article here. We have Coinbase filed a legal action in April April to compel the SEC to respond yes or no to the exchange's mandamus petition on regulatory clarity filed in July 22. And the court granted the appeal earlier this month, ordering the SEC to respond to Coinbase within 10 days. However, in the filing on Monday, the regulator refused to provide a yes or no answer to Coinbase, asking that the petition should be denied. In its argument, the agency said the crypto exchange does not and cannot demonstrate a right. Now, what's happened with Coinbase is Coinbase is a public company. So they listed on the public stock exchange around a year and a half ago now. And to get listed on the public stock exchange, Coinbase needed to undergo so many tests. So they needed to be audited completely. And now they're saying nothing's changed on our end. Coinbase is the same company as it was a year and a half ago. And none of the regulations have changed. They've not changed the regulations since the 1940s. And we are now seeing them getting charged by the SEC or receiving Wells notices by from the SEC, which effectively means they are about to get having a full audit to make sure that they are operating in the correct way. But Coinbase is saying, why do we need this full audit now when we had one a year and a half ago? We haven't changed and the regulation hasn't changed. What's different now than it was a year and a half ago? It doesn't make sense. We don't have the clarity around that to make sure that they can follow the rules precisely. We don't have those clear set out rules. So we can see here, in the filing on Monday, the regulator refused to provide a yes or no answer to Coinbase and said, obviously, that I've just said they do not and cannot demonstrate such a right. So the SEC further stated that neither the securities laws nor the Administrative Procedure Act impose on the SEC an obligation to issue the broad new regulations regarding digital assets Coinbase has requested. So we've been waiting for a response on this for a couple of weeks now. We have reported on this before, and we are now seeing the SEC just say, maybe, which isn't the answer we wanted. So Coinbase's argument is largely premised on the erroneous view that recent commission enforcement actions indicate a commission decision not to engage in rulemaking. Deliberating over the kind of significant changes sought by Coinbase, which could affect both crypto assets and the securities market more generally, takes time. So we do want to see clarity on this regulation. We do understand that it takes a while, but we need to work together to move forward. So now Coinbase have really been pushing for clarity of regulation in the US for a couple of months now. They've created Campaign 435, something like this, and they've been working hard to help make the cryptocurrency industry a better place and help get that regulation so that companies can continue to grow and stop companies moving from the US into countries like Hong Kong, like moving into Asia. And this is why, actually, this regulation is why that a lot of people are predicting that the next wave for cryptocurrency and the next bull run will be triggered by the Asian markets. It's because of this lack of regulation here. But let's move on from this now. Let's take a look at the next article, because I could talk about regulation all day. And Gary Gensler and the SEC and all the problems surrounding it. Let's move on to the next article here. We have Ledger's new phrase recovery feature has users spooked. So Ledger recovery feature is another potential attack vector, and storing recovery phrases and ID on, let me turn my phone notifications off. So Ledger have updated how they can store your private key, and they're storing these actually online with personal ID. So you have to KYC to use this feature, and then they can store the recovery phrase for your wallet online. Now, a lot of people are saying, why are we doing this? We have hardware wallets to try and store our private keys offline, keep them safe, and keep our assets completely safe. And now Ledger are launching this method of being able to recover your recovery phrase because they store it online. They've received a huge amount of backlash for this from Ledger users. So somebody has said, where's this tweet come from? The AP summarised the arguments against the feature by pointing out the dangers of sharing seed phrases online. Referencing Ledger's 2020 data breach, they've said, again, I'm in disbelief about this. Apart from the risk that they're hacked again, apart from it flying in the face of never sharing your seed and never storing it online, it opens the door to a whole new level of crypto scammers. And some more commentators expressed a similar sentiment, with the most upvoted comment adding the requirement to upload an ID makes the proposition even more unpalatable from a security perspective. They've said, yeah, that's going to be a no from me, dog. Have to send a picture of your ID as well. Hard nope. And I agree. This is not something that I will be doing with my ledger. I like to keep my private keys offline, store my recovery phrase somewhere safe. I don't want that to be online and be even more susceptible to hackers. We use hardware wallets because it reduces the risk. And by storing our recovery phrase online, we are increasing that risk once again. And that is definitely something that I do not want to do. So Ledger, this is a pretty shocking news article. And this is not something that we would have expected from Ledger. Let's move on to the next article then, and see what else is going on in the world of crypto. We are meant to be talking about this article here. This is the one that we've highlighted on the screen. And we have here, before we get into the next article, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single weekday at around 11-12 a.m. BST time, talking about the latest cryptocurrency news and taking a look at the markets as well. Now, a lot of people are a little bit scared of the head and shoulders pattern that is forming on the bigger time frames for Bitcoin right now, so we will be analysing that at the end of today's stream as well, so make sure to stay tuned till the very end. Which reminds me, on Friday the live stream is going to be around 7 a.m. BST time, just to mess it up a little bit, so be prepared for that. If you want to stay up to date with the news on Friday, wake up early, and we've got an early stream on Friday. Let's take a look at this next article here. We have Apple set to release VR headset. So technology tycoon Apple is set to release a VR headset that could ignite a fresh burst of life into the metaverse. Now, Apple, I've seen many different articles about this saying that they are launching this at the wrong time for themselves, but we'll take a look at this anyway. Apple is ranked as the world's most valuable company with a market cap of $2.7 trillion at the time of writing, and the tech company is notorious for leading development and pushing the boundaries for advancement within the technology industry. Apple is most identifiable for its iPhone, iPad and Mac products, but now it looks set to add to the already stacked list of products with a VR headset. And Apple have done something incredible here, because I remember years and years and years ago, the connection that people had with their mobile phone company wasn't as tight. So people would move from having like a Motorola to a Nokia. They would continue to change brands all the time when they were getting new phones. But now customers seem to have a loyalty to Apple, and that is a huge selling point for Apple, because Apple will make product after product after product, and even if it's not that impressive, their customers are so loyal that they continue to return over and over again. And when they've connected all of these devices together, they've just made this massive, massive company. If you have an iPhone, you have a MacBook, you have the Apple computer, it just goes on and on and on. And the loyalty that customers have to Apple now is absolutely insane. And everybody always wants to try out their new technology if they are an Apple user. So let's take a look at this, and will this become the norm? Now, because this is from Apple, I think this is different. We have had headsets from Meta before. I'm sure we're talking about this in this article here, and they have done okay, they've done well, but because this is from Apple, I expect there to be a lot more adoption of this device. So let's take a look at this article anyway. Apple is most identifiable for its iPhone, iPad and Mac products, but now it looks set to add to the already stacked list of products with a VR headset. The headset is rumoured to be released at Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference in June, and the metaverse has become a scorching topic within cryptocurrency since Facebook's rebrand to Meta in 2021. And the company has thus far taken the reins as the leading developer from the traditional Web 2 companies in an attempt to step forward into the metaverse. Now, Meta has not done very well in response to this. We all know the stock has not been performing the best. Meta has sunk billions of dollars in research and development into building a virtual world and products to go alongside it, with the company reporting a $3.99 billion loss in Q1 this year alone. And we did see similar numbers at the end of last year as well for Meta, but they are continuing to go down on this mission. They have said that they are trying to lean out the business this year. 2023 is the year that Meta lean out. They're going to get rid of any side projects and just focus on the main goal of being the center of the metaverse. But we can see here that Apple are looking to take over the metaverse. It is no secret that Apple has one of the most substantial influencing factors within the technology industry. The release of a VR headset is significant, as it could turn doubters into believers once the most prominent tech firm shows its hand for a VR or metaverse metaverse experience. According to reports, the VR headset is expected to cost roughly $2,000 to $3,000, considerably more expensive than Meta's Quest Pro, with a price point so much higher than its competitors. Whether Apple will succeed in the VR sector remains to be seen. So we will have to stay tuned on this story, but it's a very interesting one, and it may trigger some nice movements for tokens within the metaverse. I haven't yet looked at this, so let's take a look at some today, see what's doing. Let's take a look at Gala, for example. Let's see how this is performing. If you go to cryptosavingexpert.com and you go to the coin section here, you can see how different tokens are performing. Let's take a look at this. Not performing as I expected. I thought we'd see a little bit of a move to the upside for the major tokens within the metaverse. Maybe not though. Maybe not today. Maybe this is something later to come when the actual launch is occurring. Let's take a look at the next article then and see what else is going on in the world of crypto. Before we do, please don't forget, as always, to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single day at 11:12 a.m. BST time in the morning time. So let's take a look at the next piece of news. Christian said, did you cover ledger recovery news already? Yes, we did. If you want to rewind and start from the beginning, feel free to do so, but make sure to stay tuned until the end because we are talking about the head and shoulders pattern on the price of Bitcoin, which is causing a lot of doom and gloom around the industry. A lot of people are fearful of lower prices, so we will be analysing the price of Bitcoin at the end of today's stream as well. Let's take a look at this article anyway. We have the SEC asks court to revise $22 million fine against LBRY to $111,000. So they've contested the fine as being excessive. So let's take a look at this article. The US SEC is seeking to lower its $22 million punishment against LRBY for selling unregistered securities, as the New Hampshire District Court ruled last year. In a document filed on the 12th of May, the SEC asked the court to impose a penalty of $111,000 against the decentralized content sharing platform, citing the company's inability to pay the initial $22 million fine. Now, this is a massive decline here. Also, the SEC asked to withdraw its request for disgorgement of forfeiture of illegal gains generated from LBC tokens. So the commission acknowledges LBRY's representations that it is defunct seizing operations and without the funds to pay a larger fine, and recognises that a defendant's ability to pay is a factor when imposing a civil penalty. So the SEC filed its case against them in March 21, stating that the blockchain company violated the securities through the sale of its native token called LBRY credits, while LBRY argued that the token usage constituted a commodity. The regulator stated the LBC tokens were offered and sold as investment contracts and therefore securities. Coming back to the Howey test that we discussed at the start of today's stream, there is a lot of a debate around that within the cryptocurrency space, and this is again why we need to see that clarity. So the SEC's demands were excessive. So we're looking at a massive decline in that, but being able to pay the fine is incredibly important. Let's take a look at the next article here and see what else is going on in the world of crypto. We have North Korean hackers have stolen $721 million in crypto from Japan since 2017. Now, this is a huge number. Let's take a look at the next one. We have US Department of Justice to crack down on illicit crypto activities. We have seen over and over again many different departments of the US government trying to crack down on cryptocurrency, help make the space a cleaner place. However, while they do so, they have a tendency, in my opinion, to stifle innovation of the industry. So we can see here that, let's take a look at this. According to a report, the Department of Justice will target crypto exchanges and mixes which conceal the trail of transactions, and someone who joined the enforcement team last year as the department's debut crypto czar heads a new unit focused on the criminal misuse of digital assets, and said the agency would also focus on companies that commit crimes like money laundering themselves or allow them to happen. But on top of that, they're allowing for all other criminal actors to easily profit from their crimes and cash out in ways that are obviously problematic to us. And so we hope that by focusing on these types of platforms, we are going to have a multiplier effect. So we are going to see more focus on the cryptocurrency space. Obviously, we do want bad actors out of the industry. We don't want things like FTX happening again. We don't want things like UST happening again. But we just need to be incredibly careful that regulation isn't stifling growth of the industry. Let's take a look at the next article here. We have Zimbabwe records millions of dollars in sales of gold-backed tokens. So they've pushed through with the sale of its gold-backed digital token, and the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has generated millions of dollars in the first week of selling its gold-backed digital tokens, created to help stabilize the local currency, which has depreciated significantly. Now, is this where we've seen super high interest rates? I can't completely remember. So this is being seen as an alternative investment option, and it's a very good option for those in Zimbabwe. It's good to see things like this taking place. Having gold-backed digital tokens is really important for those of you that don't know. Our traditional fiat currencies were backed by gold many, many years ago, and then it was unbacked, and then everything fell apart. If you do want to know about this, it's actually a really interesting conversation here. And if you're talking to people about cryptocurrencies and they don't quite understand it, by going to our cryptocurrency courses, which are completely free, and taking a look at the Bitcoin module here. These are the longer courses here. Normally I recommend the shorter courses, but if you're talking to a lot of people about Bitcoin or you want to know a lot more in a lot of detail, go to these courses here. Specifically, I'd recommend the Bitcoin and digital gold course, and you can learn all about the history of fiat currencies, how they're related to gold, and how Bitcoin is digital gold, and how we are continuing to move in the right direction. We've fallen a little bit off path by unpegging the price of fiat currencies to gold, but by having the understanding of how important gold was and how important having our fiat currencies backed by gold was, you'll understand how important Bitcoin is as a digital version of gold. So if you want to understand that a little bit more, make sure to go to that course here, Bitcoin and digital gold. Also, if you're having conversations with non-Bitcoin believers, you can find loads of argument points in here. You can really back up your facts if you go through these courses. They are longer, but I would definitely say that they are worthwhile doing. So let's take a look at the next article here anyway and see what else is going on. 5 of the best centralized platforms for earning yield on your crypto. So we are going to be pushing out a lot more content like this. If you're looking to see the top cryptocurrency exchanges ranked for all of their different features, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com. And if you want to know anything like this, if you have a question for which centralized exchange is best for a different feature, let us know and we'll create an article about that for you. Let's take a look at the next one here. We have US authorities impose 10-year export privilege ban on Ethereum's Virgil Griffith. So the US government has also revoked every BIS-issued license in which the Ethereum developer was interested in at the time of their conviction. So the US Department of Commerce has imposed a 10-year ban on Ethereum developer Virgil for export privileges as part of their conviction for violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act in 2019. So he's currently serving a 5-year prison sentence and was convicted on the 12th of April last year in the District Court for the Southern District of New York after he was found guilty of circumventing the US sanctions by providing unauthorized access services to North Korea. So in April, the Ethereum developer gave a crypto and blockchain presentation at a conference held in the North Korean capital, despite disapproval from the American government. Knowing the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's illegal operations, Griffith told attendees they could not be kept out of blockchains, no matter what the US and United Nations said. So during the trial, prosecutors insisted that he knew the implications of the information he shared and that they were aware it could be used to evade sanctions in the US and had imposed on the DPRK over its development of nuclear weapons. So these are the repercussions that Griffith is receiving. If you want more information on that, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com, the best cryptocurrency news source out there. We have one last article and then we'll be taking a look at the price of Bitcoin, analysing this head and shoulders pattern that is spreading a lot of fear around the industry, and we'll also take a look at Ethereum as well. Why not? I've not prepared that, but why not? And let's take a look at this one. Wallets labelled as Celsius staked approximately $75 million in Ethereum last week. So on-chain blockchain data analytics firm Arkham Intelligence has shown that dormant wallets linked to the bankrupt crypto lending firm Celsius moved more than 40,000 Ethereum last week. So Celsius fell during 2022 when everything was horrible in the world of crypto. I was just thinking to myself the other day, the difference in the industry from now to what it was in December is absolutely shocking. Even the difference from the end of December to the end of January was insane. And I know that we always say in the bear market it's going to flip and we don't know when it is, but the difference in everyone's attitude towards cryptocurrency flipped like a switch. Like, I've never seen it happen that quickly. At the end of December, everything was doom and gloom. Everyone thought we were going to $10,000 or below. We were seeing $8,000, $6,000 price predictions for Bitcoin. And then all of a sudden, everyone was feeling so much more positive about the industry. It was like the clocks changed. It struck 2023 and that was it. The negative energy in cryptocurrency was cancelled and we were all moving on. But Celsius, unfortunately, still needs to deal with the repercussions of 2022 because they did file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy that year. They weren't the only company to do so, but we are now seeing them stake Ethereum. So if you are wanting more information about that, make sure to go to CryptoSavingExpert.com. In fact, let me send in the link to the website here on the chat right now. And if you go to this website here and you press the big blue sign up button, let me spread this out a little bit. Why can't I get the big blue sign up button here? If we go to the news section, where's the big blue sign? Oh, it's because I've signed in already. If you are not signed in on the website, there will be a big blue sign up button here. If you press it, create an account completely for free. Make sure you tick the box at the bottom of the sign up page as well. And you get access to a newsletter every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. BST time, talking about what's going on in the world of crypto and recapping the last week in crypto as well. It's very useful. You have missed today's, but if you sign up now, you'll get access to next week's and you can see all the past releases as well from that. So let's take a look now anyway at the price of Bitcoin, what we're all here for. Let's see what's going on for Bitcoin. We have seen some moves to the downside. Now these are the lines and zones that we've been looking at for weeks here on the channel. We have now been rejected from that level at 27,700 almost exactly, and I would like to say that is pretty impressive. Bitcoin is respecting us here on Crypto Saving Expert pretty well. These lines have been drawn on this chart for about a month here on the channel. If you go back to a live stream we did about 3 weeks ago, you will see these exact same lines. I have not moved these lines, and you can see here that Bitcoin is still respecting these levels. So we've been rejected from that level of resistance here, unfortunately. We do currently have a zone of support at 26,600 to 26,900, so we need to keep an eye on that. But if we take a look at the daily chart, you can see here, to be honest, it's not looking too good. We can see here that people are looking at this inverse head and not inverse head and shoulders. I wish it was inverse head and shoulders pattern. It's just a head and shoulders pattern, which has has unfortunately broken to the downside. Now, if we take the distance between the top of the head and the shoulder line and we put that to the point of breakout, we can see here that this has a price target of around $24,500. Now, we do have a lot of levels of support at these points, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and it wouldn't necessarily mean we are moving to lower prices. If we take a look at the history back in July 2022, you can see we definitely had some levels of resistance at 23,900 all the way up to 25,200. And if you take a look at this data here as well from earlier this year, you can see that that zone has been used as a resistance before and as a support before. So that is definitely a zone of support that I will be looking at. Even if we do get rejected from this shoulder level here at neck level here at 27,400, I would say this is a pretty strong level of support that I will be looking at. But we do need to keep an eye on this. It may be the case that we don't get rejected from this resistance, so we just need to keep an eye on this, see what's going on. If we do get rejected from this, though, we do need to be aware of that $24,500 level, unfortunately. Now let's take a look at the Fear and Greed Index, see what else is going on in the world of crypto. Jason Smith has requested this. Well, we used to look at the Fear and Greed Index all the time. I'm going to bring that back. I don't know why I've stopped looking at this on this stream. We can see here it's currently at 54, pretty neutral. We did hit greed last month, but it's come down to neutral right now, so we're not seeing too much of a concerning factor there. We can also take a look at the RSI and the MACD while we're here. We are looking at the daily chart right now. Let's take a look at what is going on. Here we have the RSI pretty neutral. The MACD is showing that we have weakening bearish momentum. So it's not looking all too bad there. But as I said, we need to be careful of that head and shoulders pattern. On the 4-hour chart, again, the RSI is pretty neutral and so is the MACD. So we just need to keep an eye on this. If we zoom in on the 4-hour chart, and we just look at this head and shoulders pattern in a little bit more detail, you can see that we have been rejected exactly on that level of previous support right now. So it's not looking too good, I have to say. But we never know in the world of crypto. It might surprise us, so we do need to keep an eye on it and keep an eye on all of these levels of support and resistance as well. So that is all we have for today's show. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. And I will see you all back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. BST time. Thank you very much for joining us, and I will see you all then. Goodbye.